Hello everyone, welcome to my first ever Q&A. Most of these questions are sourced from IG followers, so if you're not following me there, please do. I admit that I'm not super active on IG, but I do share food haunts and random tidbits of my life that don't make it into my videos. Besides questions on IG, I also picked out some very common questions from comments on my videos. If you're one of my regular commenters, you might just see one of your questions answered here, so watch on. How did you get started on vlogging? Any inspos? Well, I was in a very strange stage of my career 3 years ago. I would like to say that I enjoyed parts of my job. I was good at it mostly, and I was also progressing quite well, but I was very jaded. I decided to take a sabbatical of about 5 months. During the break, I told myself that I was going to do something completely different from my job, something that I enjoy, could exercise a bit of creativity, and maybe have the potential to earn me a bit of pocket money. So fun fact, I was never really a fan of vlogs. I mean, I watch YouTube, but it's mostly for like learning or random entertainment. During COVID though, I came across silent vlogs. I was living alone at that time and I enjoyed getting inspiration on things to do alone at home. One of the creators who inspired me to start a faceless vlog channel was Sudu. So before COVID, I never imagined that you can vlog your life without showing your face. But she and many others did it for a living. So I created a channel. I filmed the overseas trips that I took during the sabbatical and posted videos just once in a while. Most of the videos were really crappy, to be honest, and they will never see the light of day again. But the Korea vlog took off a bit, gaining me about 500 subs. 500 is clearly peanuts in the world of YouTube, but it really affirmed my effort and showed me that there's this possibility I could actually create content and also have people watch them too. So yeah, that's how I got started. Are you planning to be a full-time content creator? I think I'm still very much a Singaporean at my core, a very pragmatic one. When you're creating content for a living, it becomes harder to be genuine because you have to think about what kind of content would draw attention most, what sponsors can you work with. Basically, it's like what sells. Because your views and your sponsorship equals your income. The toughest part is that whatever platform you're on, you're at the mercy of these big companies' changes, whether it's algorithm changes or platform features. Why do you think so many full-time creators diversify their sources of income with other businesses? And now with AI content everywhere, what's next for us? I'm honestly not sure. So there's definitely risks that I cannot foresee, and I admit I'm just not really a risk taker. I also very much prefer to be able to continue sharing life and travels the way I want. I only want to advertise for sponsors when I genuinely like and use their products. So nope, I don't see myself becoming a full-time content creator for now. Will you return to corporate? I've said this on my IG before and I'll say it again. Over my dead body. I'm sorry, but this is exactly how I feel about going back to corporate. These days, when my ex-colleagues update me on the tea that's going on in my previous workplaces, it actually reinforces my decision to leave it behind. The thing that really gets to me about corporate work is how performative some of the work can be, like attending meetings for visibility or spending weeks dressing up a deck of slides. Of course, even if I'm not going back to corporate, I know there will be traces of similar BS in any workplace, but I would like at least 60 to 80% of my work to be actual work. After a lot of research and thought, I decided to pursue a master's in a profession that will hopefully give me just that. That leads me to the next question. What's the job you're working for now? I'm sorry, I cannot share the specifics, but what I can say is that it's a part-time role in a completely new sector for me. It's been exciting because it's the first ever job that's relevant to my studies. I also chose to start part-time because I don't graduate until later this year. For now, I want to be able to prioritize my studies and also continue sharing life and travels on the channel as well. Any tips for fresh grads who are starting out in corporate? There are honestly way too many to share and you have probably heard them so many times, but I'll pick out a few salient ones from my own experience. This is more for people who want to do well early on in their corporate career. If you're not interested and you just want to like 躺平, then you can skip this question. Firstly, strive for best effort in everything you do. I don't mean overworking yourselves to become number one. I mean that whatever you're tasked to do it with the mindset that you deliver the best quality you can give. If you develop this kind of good habits early on in your career, it will eventually shape how you approach work challenges in future. If you have too much on your plate and you're genuinely overloaded, then communicate it to your boss. You don't want to be compromising on work quality just to get work done on time. If your boss is the type to penalize you for raising such concerns, then maybe this company isn't worth working for after all. Secondly, work on the relationships.
Please don't misunderstand and where you eat.
I mean to establish good working relationships with your bosses and those you work with as much as possible. It's not just about networking, it's also to learn how to work with different personalities. Trust me, people of all kinds of patterns will emerge at the workplace. As a newbie, I also liked observing how my seniors and bosses networked because that was the fastest way for me to learn, especially in terms of how you can communicate in a professional setting. And these are not just corporate skills, it eventually translates into life skills that you can then put to good use anywhere. And honestly, I don't know of any corporate role that thrives by working alone. So yes, even if you're an introvert or socially awkward, I'm sorry, you gotta put in some effort to build these relationships. Thirdly, be open to work that may not have been in your original scope. This one is a bit contentious, I know. Gen Zs are all about setting work boundaries these days, right? But being open doesn't mean accepting every Tom, Dick or Harry's work request. Be intentional about these tasks. Take on that project where you get to interact with other departments or where you can get to pick up new knowledge or skills. Sometimes it's through these platforms that you increase your visibility.
I know, I hate that word.
But unfortunately, that's the truth. It could also be a good platform for you to pick up important work intel. It may also be a good way for you to receive unexpected work opportunities, especially if you are looking for greener pastures. Lastly, don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's better you commit the mistakes now when you're still a rookie than when you take on bigger roles and responsibilities in future. How do you cope with stress? There are two things I do whenever I feel stressed out. One is by talking about it with someone. Depending on the source of stress, I would talk about it with my husband, brothers, or best friend. If you don't have that someone, consider investing in counseling or therapy. I can guarantee you almost always feel better after. The other thing is to find an activity to vent your stress out. For me, the easiest is really just going for a run. If running really stresses you out too much, you can do something else that's closer to what you like. It can be like going to an arcade to play game or like singing your heart out at home. I think the point is really to just do something that suits you. It really differs from person to person. What have you learned about yourself in the last 3 years? One thing that I've learned about myself is how much I tie performance to self-worth. So basically when you do YouTube, your input may not always translate to a proportionate outcome. I may spend a lot of effort in this video and I think, wow, this is a great video, I think it's gonna do well. But then eventually it may not have the best viewership or interest from audience. Honestly, that was really discouraging at first. I mean, I spent hours editing, but the returns I get from the video doesn't even make economical sense. I think I've learned to separate the two things though. There are ups and downs in performance. Even at the workplace, this is natural. I cannot be in top form all the time and I can't be exceeding KPIs like 100% of the time. And that's okay. It doesn't and shouldn't negate my worth as a person. I still have my knowledge and skill sets. I'm still a great friend to someone. I am still a loving partner to my husband. Of course, it's still a work in progress for me. Whenever thoughts of being a failure or not being good enough comes into my mind, I still have to consciously rationalize it and remind myself that I'm doing okay. But I guess what's important is that I'm aware of these thoughts and that I'm actively working on it. What's your biggest takeaway as a content creator? I really enjoy the autonomy of making money on my own terms. Creating content is like a sample of what it feels like to be your own boss, right? I decide what I do with my time, how I deliver my work, who I want to work with. After spending years in the corporate world, having my time and work dictated by the system, it's really liberating to be able to work when you want to. I don't mean that you can just laze around, do whatever you want. What I mean is you actually become more productive. You know yourself best, and you choose optimum timings where you're in that headspace to film ads, edit videos, reply to emails, etc. And when I'm not working, I really am not obligated to act busy, I can actually make good use of my time doing other things that matter to me. What's your goal in life, if you don't mind sharing, because I'm currently feeling lost in life? To be honest, I'm not sure if sharing my goal will help you feel less lost, because our situations might be completely different. But I've gone through that phase, so I understand how aimless and dreadful that can be. Maybe I can share what I did to obtain better clarity on my life goals. I think firstly, it may help for you to elaborate on what it means when you say you feel lost. Are you lost as in you don't know what you want? Or you know what you want but you don't know how to get there? If it's the former, do you know what you don't want? Sometimes we will never know what we truly want in life, even at the end of our time on earth. But I'm pretty sure you know at least what you don't want. So I would say start from there, stay away from paths that will lead you to where you don't want to be, and then start exploring new experiences, know more people to get an idea of what you think life could be like for you. If you know what you want but you just don't know how to get there, congrats, you're already halfway to getting to your life goal. The next step is to clarify that goal and be as specific as possible. What exactly about that life goal are you trying to achieve? Sometimes what you think you want isn't actually what it is. For example, your life goal is to get married and start a family. I think it helps to ask yourself if you are seeking a union because it's what society expects of you, or are you trying to find a life partner so you won't feel lonely? Basically, try to find out the underlying need you're trying to address. Maybe then getting married isn't the actual goal, because there are many other ways you can satisfy those needs, right? Once you have clarified that goal, the next steps will be easy. Where are you now versus where you want to be? What changes do you need to move forward even just a tiny bit? How old are you? I get this question so often. I hesitate to share my age, not just because of privacy reasons, but also because I don't want my content to be judged based on how old I am or even how I look. I think you guys watch my content because you can relate with me and my experiences, and I think that's what matters most. That's it. I've told you before that I'm a millennial, so go figure. Would you ever do a face reveal? Your channel is going to grow much faster if you do. Similar to the previous question, I think it's really for privacy at this point of my life. Also, yes, I'm aware it's much harder for a faceless channel to grow, but I'm honestly quite content with this small but very supportive community. Maybe, just maybe, when I'm experienced enough to run my own show in future, I'll introduce myself with my face on. But guys, I say first, I look average. Has anyone recognized you in public before? At least 4 or 5 of you, I think. Even I am shocked, okay? How do you all even recognize me? But on this note, to those who have bumped into me, said hi, or dropped me a DM to let me know you saw me, I appreciate you for not taking my photos and crossing boundaries. Thank you for respecting my privacy. You eat a lot. How do you keep in shape and how often do you work out? This question comes up a ton. I only eat 2 meals a day. Okay lah, I snack lah in between. But is that really a lot? I don't know if it's aging and decline in metabolism, but these days working out 3 times a week with intermittent fasting only maintains my weight. If I breach any of the habits, I gain weight fast. I gotta say though, if you're still young, intermittent fasting does wonders. I usually go for about 13 to 14 hours of fasting, which is more than enough for females. I will combine breakfast and lunch into 1 meal and then start eating at around 10 to 11 am. I will try to then finish dinner by around 8 to 9 pm. But please be aware that everyone's body is different. Maybe something else works better for you, like increasing exercises. How did you and your husband meet? I've shared in a vlog before, but it's nothing exciting. We met on a dating app. Is your husband Malaysian? No lah. If you're still asking me this question in 2026, it means you're not my subscriber. For the record, we are both born and bred in Singapore. The husband also underwent NS. What is your husband working as? He runs an e-commerce business by day and he does stock trading at night. I'm going to move in with my in-laws while waiting for BTO and I'm really worried. How is it like living with your in-laws? Any tips? This was one of the most frequently asked questions in comments and DMs when I first started vlogging. To preface, I don't think I can speak for everyone who live with in-laws because again, it differs from person to person. But I think it's crucial to assess your suitability to live with your in-laws in the first place. Let's be objective. Is it really worth it saving on rent, but risking your marriage if you're going to be in friction with your in-laws every day? One of the things that I believe will help you assess this suitability is to observe your own dynamics with your in-laws even before moving in. For example, How do you feel when your in-laws behave in a way that you're not used to? Say, they comment on how you should live your life. And then what's your thought and response like? Some people may find it uncomfortable, but they can still tolerate that. Others may perceive it as being nosy and controlling and would end up responding in a provoking manner. If you think that the most uncomfortable aspects of the dynamics are tolerable, then yeah, sure, go ahead. Otherwise, I think you might be better off renting. When living with in-laws, I found that rapport is built much faster when you show respect and demonstrate genuine curiosity about knowing them. Something as simple as addressing them mom or dad when you're home, letting them know when you're going out or what time you're reaching home, shows that you're not treating their home as a hotel. I will also ask about my in-laws' day when we are home, and I participate in family conversations as well. Basically, be open to know them better, respect them as elders, and treat them like family. Some people may advise you to reduce direct interaction with your in-laws so that there's less chance of friction. And they may even tell you to communicate any unhappiness you have with your in-laws through your partner. I'm here to tell you not to do any of the above. This only reinforces the mistrust between you and your in-laws. Also, while your partner is there to support you emotionally, they should not have to take sides. This can make your partner feel like they have to constantly manage the dynamics between you and your in-laws, and it will eventually affect your marriage. How long do you plan to rent in JB? Our lease is for a year and it's going to end in June this year. I'm not sure if I'll continue renting because I may get a full-time job in Singapore after graduation. So I think it would make more sense for me to be in Singapore most of the time. When is your next solo trip? I don't have any planned yet, unfortunately, but I do have a trip to China with my friend in the middle of the year. If you have ideas on solo trips, let me know in comments. So that's all for my Q&A. But I thought I would just talk a bit about what the future holds for me. It still feels unreal to be doing this for a living somewhat. It's not making me a lot of money, but it's good enough for me to be able to study without worrying about finances too much. I'm not sure how long more I'll be vlogging because 2026 is going to be a pivotal year for me, career-wise. I'm also going to be getting keys to our new place, which I'm most excited for. If the day comes where I have to slow down on YouTube and make space for life, I'll be sure to update you on that. Lastly, I just want to say again that I'm truly grateful to all of you for your support. You guys are all very kind and uplifting. I feel like sometimes I'm able to manifest this life for me thanks to your encouragement. With that, I'll wrap up my first ever Q&A. Take care, and I'll see you at the next video.